So we've already done a ton of preparation work to make sure these cold calls go well. Okay, we've got our ideal customer profile, which determines who we call, the buyer persona, which informs who we speak to, buyer's journey, insights, trigger events, and the cold call script. Okay, so we are so ready to make this call. It's going to be awesome. Now we get into the act of actually doing it. Okay, so we got 2 tips for you to take away from this video. Number 1 is that you should smile through the phone. So smile when you're cold calling. It sounds ridiculous. It feels ridiculous. Your coworkers are probably going to say something if you're sitting there grinning to yourself. Hopefully your coworkers are watching these videos too, so you can all look silly together. But the emotion that elicits is audible, it is contagious, and it puts people in the right frame of mind to be open and to be receptive to what you're saying. Okay, imagine a time you went to grab coffee. You remember the baristas who were really like sad and despondent and draining versus the ones who were really enthusiastic and energetic. Okay, it's a better customer experience, and you're more likely to listen to the other person in that state of mind. And secondly, is that you shouldn't think of cold calling as an activity so much as a routine. Okay, you need continuous pipeline generation. You need to be continually filling new leads into your pipeline every day. Because if you don't, and you only work on like your opportunities and qualified opportunities, turning those into wins, then you're going to run out of leads at the top, and you're going to have like one really good week, and then next week just you're going to have nothing. Okay, so every single day you should be setting aside time to do prospecting. Okay, so here's my breakdown that I suggest how you follow your day, and you can tweak this depending on your industry and your business, but this is a great starting point. Okay, so first thing in the morning when I get in, I respond to emails sitting in my inbox. Okay, so I try not to touch emails during the day. They're a massive time sink. You can think you're just going to go and answer one, and you'll end up writing like 30 different replies and taking like 2 hours to do it. So just bang out all your emails first thing in the morning, get in nice and early, like 8 a.m. and do that. Okay, then between like 8:30 and 10, when I know a lot of my prospects are getting into the office before their day really winds up, that's when I'll do my calls. So I'll bang out 90 minutes of activity there, get as many as I can done before 10 a.m. At 10 a.m. to 2, that's when I schedule meetings for. So I'll have, like I cold call someone last week and I say, okay, let's book a meeting for 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Next week. Now, obviously, sometimes you have to do an 8 a.m., you have to do a 5 p.m., you have to satisfy the client, that's fine. But if at all possible, try and schedule them for the middle of the day. And, have lunch, take time. You're not going to be happy and enthusiastic on the phone if you're hungry and grouchy. Do that too, all right? Between 2 and 4 p.m., that's when I do my research. So I look for trigger events for the next day. Okay, I adjust my call scripts. I get my buyer personas identified. I do all that for the next day between 2 and 4 p.m. because that's when a lot of my clients are usually in meetings. They're usually busy in those hours anyway. And then between 4 and 6 p.m., I'll do some more calls. So I'll bang out the rest of my activity if I haven't done it all in the morning, or I'll just be doing research, updating LinkedIn, Okay, so the 2 best times to call for me and that I suggest you try are between 8 and 10 a.m. and between 4 and 6 p.m. because that's when people's days are either winding up or winding down, and they're usually more available. As far as metrics goals, you should be going for about 20 to 25 calls in an hour. Obviously that will depend on how good the calls are, how good your conversations are having, your reception, how many people are actually answering, etc. Your numbers can really be accelerated by tools like HubSpot's queues. I'm sure Salesforce, if you're using that CRM or anything else, has a similar function, but try and automate as much of the work as you can. If you're not familiar with your CRM's functions, Salesforce has Trailhead, which is a great series of free learning modules, and then HubSpot has HubSpot Learning Academy. And you can go and check in there and learn how to use your CRM and maximize your time. Because again, as salespeople, our most valuable asset is our time. If we had unlimited hours, we could do unlimited activity and make unlimited money and unlimited commission. But we can't. We only have 8 hours a day, so make sure you're using that time wisely. And when you're doing one of these functions, make sure you're not doing anything else. When you're doing cold calls, you're not responding to emails, you're not researching, you're cold calling. You tell your teammates not to bug you, put your blinders on, and just dial. When you're doing long distance running, you hit this barrier. I don't do long distance running, but I've heard this happens. You hit this barrier, and when you break through that, it's so much easier to go for a long distance, right? Because you're just sort of in that zone, and you don't feel like you're getting much more tired, that's what you want to do with cold calling. Okay, it can be a very grating experience, but if you just push through and just focus on that and say, okay, I'm going to do 20 calls this hour, and you just focus on that, then you'll get in the flow and you'll get in the rhythm and it will go quicker. So that's how to actually make the cold call, leverage the script, divert from the script a little bit as you need to, as said in our last video. But that's calling. It's not something that I'm going to describe to you in great detail over video because you need to learn it yourself. It comes from experience. Just practice it. Okay, in our next video, we're going to talk about prospecting through email.